Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Exchange podcast, Empathy by Design, a journey into accessible leadership. I'm your host, Ari Hirschberg, Director of Digital Community and Engagement at the Exchange Lab. Today, Bahaa Harmouche, Director of Government Digital Experience at GDX, will help us dig further into digital accessibility in WCAG. Bahaa and his team in GDX are encouraging and supporting teams to build accessibility into digital products from the start. I'm looking forward to listening and learning from you as you answer some of the top questions from the Digital VC livestream that we were unable to answer at the session. So welcome, Bahaa.
Thank you. Thank you, Ari.
Okay, let's play. First question. What did you think it would be like working in accessibility in the BC government before you started?
Actually, I was thinking about this question, by the way, funny enough. How I saw it is like, what is the trajectory to become here? That's more like it in a way. And the trajectory of it is like after being raised in a country where I lived the Civil War and you saw all the aftermath of the war, all the disabilities that happened because of the wars, and then moving to Canada and doing another master degree about empathy in design and community, it makes total sense why am I doing this right now and how accessibility portfolio fits a lot with what I believe in and how social issues should be taken in consideration, especially with government. That's the why. And what did I think? I didn't think anything actually. I was just like thinking is like, I need to get into the government and start working on something that means to me. Accessibility is something that it's really means a lot to me. When I was working with the RPD, I was working with interior designers that working on designing spaces for workplaces in government and looking of how we participated in taking in consideration spaces for people with disability, and then the inclusion part, which we were building washroom that are gender-free washroom. And then we started looking at, okay, we're doing documents, how we can make documents that are accessible, how our website can be accessible for the citizens and the employees, because it should start in within, right? So this is where my intriguing positivity started, and then looking from the education and the awareness side, I was more enthusiastic about, okay, how can we make this happen? How can we make people think about it? And government is a great place to start working on something that is social issue because we have a lot of impact on policies and how we should be doing work. So it's really exciting to be working from this side instead of being from the academic side, trying to influence. You're influencing from within. And that's how I took it.
Okay, but did you think it was going to be like this, or did you think it was going to be different, or were you just ready to go? Like, this is how it should be. Was it different at all than what you thought it would be going in?
From my side, I had to learn how to navigate that. Everything that we were working on, it was before they started the policy and the accessibility directorate. So when we were doing all the work that we were doing, then we heard that there is an accessibility policy that is coming up. And this is where we started like, oh, that is even great. So everything that we do now, it can be followed by policy. What I was positive for me is the amount of people that they are interested in the part and then enthusiastic about it, and the amount of people that they had no clue about it too. So you have like those two division. I didn't have any expectation, to be honest with you, Ari. Honestly, I did not have any expectation.
I want to be in your brain. I like that. But it is brand new. And I do think of the passion that the people who already get accessibility. I haven't seen anything like that. To me, it's very exciting to have that much interest and passion in it.
And that's the thing, is that it all comes from empathy, right? It's like the minute, and I'm not demeaning the fact that we have to be empathic for people. We have to be empathic, period. Like, we should be empathic in general. There's a lot of things that happens in the world that we are far away from and we are not connected. What is unfortunate is like we cannot think and be active about things until we experience them, or we have somebody close to us that have a lived experience, which is sad because we have to think about everybody. And this is how my brain works. And I don't know if it is because I was raised from a place that is, I was a minority all my life. You know what I mean? So my brain thinks like, whatever we should be doing it for everybody. Like we have to include everyone. And that is my brain, how it works. It's like, oh, that should be natural, right? It's like, how can we not forget about this community or this kind of community? So this is where my brain works. And I know it's sometimes it's a shock for people, but for me, it's like, for me, it's shock that we don't think of it from the beginning.
Love it. The perfect brain for the work you're doing. Still, what has it been really like and what have you learned? I think you've already started to answer that.
Yeah, we are amazed about the amount of people that they are passionate about it. We are amazed about how people, there's a lot of activists out there, like in within the government and from all levels, like from the ministers to the deputy ministers to the ADMs to the EDs to the directors and then to everybody else in the union, that they work and talk about these things, which is really fascinating. And in the same time, it's interesting that you see people that they are the opposite, who doesn't know anything about it. And like a lot of people, they don't know anything about it and they might not be willing to do anything about it because, I'm in my routine and I'm going to work. And it's not to blame people or just like point them out. I totally get it. Like you are in your day-to-day work and then suddenly I have to come in and I have to change your habits. It's like if you read the Atomic Habit book, which is an amazing book.
It's a great book.
Yeah, and it's like it tells you how you have to change. And in one of the courses, we tell people at the end of, teaching them how to do, and that was an uplift, it's teaching them how to do accessible documents. How can you enhance this habit? How can you change it? What are the things that you want to do? Because that is the big issue. Like that is the big change that people are going to be embedding in their day-to-day life. So other than that, it's just like it's fun to work on something that you like. There's this gratification of working every day with all the ups and downs, with all the blockers that you have as well. Just like there's that satisfaction that you're doing something that it's good and it's right. And people are with you on this, whatever you talk to somebody and you tell them, but this is how it should be. And it's like, you're right. Like, this is how it should be. And I was like, yes. So now how to make that rightness into a standards and policies and being backed up by a lot of other governmental processes, that is the key.
I would like to say that once people do get it, they get it. At least I could talk from personal experience. I heard Ricardo Wagner speak a few years ago at a conference on accessibility, and he was on the live stream and podcast as well. And that was the first time I started to really get it. And then Elle Waters was on recently talking about accessibility. It's like there's all these layers of getting it and getting it deeper and deeper. So I know you have a lot of blockers, but it is exciting even for me to see how people are getting some more and more of the layers of what this entails.
And you're right, it is a lot of layers. It's not an easy process to work with because it has different layers and each layer hits on a different target or a different level of what you're doing. So I totally agree, it's a big thing, but we're trying to dissect each and every layer and try to deal with each layer alone by standardizing the things that you should be doing.
So for digital teams in the ministry who want to become accessible in their work, what advice or reference do you have for them?
That's a great question. And I can answer it in the fact that we are in the process of trying to do something. Like we're trying to build a roadmap and a guideline for people moving to become accessible, which is a journey map. The advice is we are trying to make it easier on people and give them like a plan of 8 months. There's 4 phases. Each phase is 2 months. And it starts from the basic of the awareness and the learning about accessibility. And the whole roadmap is for web accessibility because that is the frame of our work. The part of the awareness is the most essential part because that is the foundation of understanding the why my work needs to be having the lens of accessibility. Who is this affecting? How would it change the life of a lot of people, the employees that we are working with and our colleagues, as much as the BC citizens, right? So that awareness will create some kind of foundation. So then you will go into how to apply it in your work. And it's not going to happen in one day. So you'll have another 2 months like realizing how this is going to affect my workforce. How am I going to plan on discovering how it's going to be amended and how I'm going to implement them. The third phase will be like, okay, now I have to do the work. And then the fourth is like, now I have to maintain that work. And that work has been done by amazing group of people that they did it on the side of the table. And then we came into the table and it was like, okay, this is amazing. I think that is great. And we should test it. So now we're testing it with green teams, not mature enough. They don't know anything about accessibility. And some people that they are mature enough to see how those phases applies to their work. So after the testing, we're having like kind of 4 to 5 months to test everything and then make sure that we amend. And then it will be a tool that will be posted on our work, our websites, just like a guide. Because people, I realize this, like people want to change, but if you don't tell them how to change, they're not going to invest time to plan that. So what we're trying to do is like, we're planning it for you. All what you have to do is go through those phases and you will reach there. The light is at the end of the tunnel. All what you have to do is just like, invest and give your time, allocate time and a lot of efforts from your teams, and you will reach there.
I think most people want to get things done, but it's so easy to get off track if you don't have a really good line that you've set for people. It's so easy. Every year, this is the right time. Like it's February 2nd, right after New Year's, people say, "I'm gonna do this," and how long does it last?
Yeah.
Who knows? But if you give someone a direction, at least they have a chance.
But the only thing that I will advise people to do, really honestly, is open your mind and look at the kind of work that you're doing from really different lenses. And that's, and I'm going to give a shout out to GBA Plus, right? GBA Plus just taught us how to create those other lenses. And part of those lenses, not only the gender part, but the disability part is another lens that we have to add there, which they added it on their module. That is very important. The beauty of this country, for me as an immigrant, is you come here and you know how we are embracing that diversity. We're not one streamline of people. We're so diverse in so many ways, in so many colors, shapes, and forms, and backgrounds, and histories, and everything. And that is the beauty of it all, right? Because whoever comes here, they feel that they fit in. But we want to make sure that all this diversity that we're having in our society has to be considered in every decision that government takes.
I love your jobs.
Right?
Yeah. How can we make sure that our work is accessible?
We mentioned it a little bit. The most important part is, what is your role? Like, think of the role that you have. Are you a developer? Are you a content writing? Especially, I'm talking for the digital presence. Are you a coder? What are you? And if you go to the simplified WCAG that we launched, it is based on the roles. And then once you define your role, if I'm a videographer, right? How can I put the accessibility lens in my role? If I'm doing a movie or a video, I have to make sure that I have the captions there and they are right. I have to make sure that I can get an ASL, that I'm including the other side of the people. It's not only the deaf, but as well the blind, right? And all of those things that and it's there. So if you look at them, it's like, how can I add that lens on my role? Then I can plan delivering my work to the right place and in the right way. And that makes it easier. Just don't think of it of the whole thing. Start within yourself. I'm a writer. I'm a content writer. You're a content writer. Great. There are certain things that you have to take care of. There's the plain language part. There's the way that you put the headings that that they have to be clear and concise on the website. You have to make sure that the images are not are all alt text, or if it is not alt text, that you are just like decorative, so assistive technology can skip them. All of those things is like, take your role and get the criteria that you need to do to fit that role.
I like it.
It seems easy. It's a lot of work, but it seems easy. Just like start with that, and then you will learn a lot of as you go, right? Because it is like a constant work, and we're not asking people, like, we know that work is not going to happen straight away. There's phases for things to happen. Just take the right path so you can reach that phase. Be curious. That's the most important part. Like, be curious of, okay, I'm delivering that kind of a work, how my work can become more accessible. And then you will find it will be like a ripple effect or a domino effect, where it's like everything will lead to another, will lead to another, and then you will be like reaching it. We're not finding with you, it's like, oh, you have to do it tomorrow, but we're telling you just have to think of it and start working on it. And if you need any resources, ask us, and we'll be there to answer you in all the way. And there's a lot of other stuff. Like for web developers, you have the WCAG, the Web Content Accessibility Guideline, right? And they have an A11Y project checklist. You can start with that too. For the plain language, you have the plain language courses that they are there. This is for the writers, I mean. You can start with that. It's like, how can I make sure that every human being who is living in Canada or in BC specifically, coming from all the backgrounds of whatever education they have, they can understand what they need.
Even if you're not a writer, it's good to take that course just so when you're writing, it just makes you think in a different way. So you write.
100%. Like now, every time I write, I'll be like, oh my God, I cannot understand what I'm writing. Like, how can I simplify it? And then I start adding the nouns and then doing a non-active voice. And it's like, okay, now my sentences becomes clearer and easier so everybody can understand it. We're doing the same thing in our team. Like, we know we're working in Agile, so we do the Jira tickets. One of the things that I ask, my team, write the background of the ticket as if somebody who's not in our team coming in, and they have to understand why you are doing this. And that is like starting from the tickets. So imagine if you start from the day-to-day basic stuff that you do to the emails, then you will get that kind of a progress of becoming better in plain language.
Yeah, you're building the muscle even just off your work list.
Yeah. And that's how it should be. Like, the accessibility should be in your everyday, day-to-day work, and you should be thinking of it. So if you start thinking of it that way, you'll be like, oh, I'm doing a Word document. Word document has to be accessible. If I'm putting a Word document on the web, I shouldn't be putting a PDF. I should put it in HTML. Or if I have to and I don't have the time, at least instead of an HTML, put an accessible Word document. Right? It's like, it makes it easier. Like, the choices are there. We just like have to find the best solution.
Yes. So who is who concerning accessibility?
Okay, I need you to clarify this. Who's who and what? Because accessibility, as we said, it has different layers. So if we're talking about accessible spaces or accessible buildings or barrier-free washrooms and gender-inclusive washrooms, that will be the real property division, which is in SITS. And there is a department that is solely working on anything that is related to how to sustain buildings, how to make them more accessible, and how to provide and invest in anything that is better. And now they're even just getting consultants to go and check each building and see how can they repair the things that the buildings will be compliant to accessibility, right? So that's from the space. You have the PSA, who they are working on anything that is related to employees, from job interviews, how to provide a space that is fully accessible when we are interviewing new people to government that needs certain accommodations or certain anything to make that interview easier and accessible to any human being. Then they are working on as well trying to provide for our employees the access to ask for assistive technologies or anything that they need for them to work well in a more decent way, and not letting people beg for their own rights, because this is the most important things. Like, we have to be so open. So when somebody comes to you and tells you as a supervisor, like, I need the big screen because I cannot see, well, we don't have budget for that. You cannot say you cannot have budget for that. Like, this is the need for them to do their best work, right? And in the same time, we want to have that awareness for other people who are seeing that colleague who has a bigger screen. He's not getting it because it just feels great to have a big screen. They're asking for it because it's a need. It's not, it's not a decoration. It's not like, oh, I feel great, I want to have a bigger screen. So that's another way, the awareness coming from everybody. And that is what the PSA is working on. It's a lot, but they're trying the best as well, the PSA, and I commend them. They have the Workable program, which is a great program that is getting new, fresh graduates with disabilities from universities and just providing them with like a kind of a TA, and then trying to be part of the workforce in the government, and having more people with lived experiences that will really get the awareness from all kind. And then you have the accessibility, the digital accessibility, which like now with everything that we are innovating, the way that we delivering services for the public, we want to make sure that everything that we do digitally is built covering the accessibility lens too. Again, so you have the digital part, and there is more parts and more parts. So those are the three ones that I mostly work closely to. And then you have the directorate, the accessibility directorate, which they are working on doing the plans for all BC, how to become more accessible. But they are as well dealing with the outside world, which is like they're trying to put standards and solutions on how every space in the government has to be accessible. Every business that is doing an opening has to be accessible. Everything that we do has to be accessible. So we have to start thinking, and this is a great for people that they are new to that or they have new businesses, just to put the standards up there from the beginning. And for the older businesses, just to start upgrading the way that they deliver any services to become more accessible.
I like that you like big problems because this is such a big problem to start figuring out. But in the time you've been here, it sounds like you've seen quite a bit of change moving in the right direction.
100%. And just let you know, is like now my work is based literally on a policy that is presented and developed by the accessibility secretariat, which is under a minister office. And now everything that I will ask ministries to do, I have a policy that I'm depending on it. So it's not anymore an accessory that I'm using. No, it's a mandate that you have to work on. And this is how I would love all public servants and all ministries to start thinking of it. It's not anymore, oh, it's nice to have it. No, you have to have it. That's the twist. We must have it. It is mandated on us. This is what BC government promised citizens, that they're gonna be, becoming very accessible and complying with the level AA of the WCAG, and we have to move forward and just like doing that work. So from my side, I feel like I'm the one now who's responsible to try to get all these tools and the education that every ministry and every employee needs, so they can get equipped, so they know what to do. And then from my team's part is like, okay, how we build more education, how we create more standards, how can we push. And I don't like to say, I'm not going to, that's the other thing. It's like, we're not policing you, we're guiding you. Like, we're not going to tell you, it's like, if you don't do it, we're going to do 1, 2, 3. Nobody's going to do anything. We want you to start thinking of it, because it is something that you have to think of, but we will help you in getting there step by step.
Wonderful. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I would love to go on forever, but do you have any final thoughts?
Don't take it as something that you're obliged to do it. Come to it in a very curious, open mind. So our work will be accessible. And this is the empathy part that we should get. My final thought is, take things step by step. Don't rush into things, educate yourself, and come from that empathy side. Because the more that we come from the curiosity and the empathy side, the more that everybody will be curious in doing the right thing, because I know a lot of us want to do the right thing. And in the same time, we're here, like the governance and community branch in GDX is here to answer questions. I would ask people to look at the work that they're doing and add the lens of accessibility in anything they do. Plan it right, because if you think of it from the beginning, it will make it easier. And again, it's a journey. It's not going to happen in one day. And we're here to answer any of your questions. There's a lot of things that you can refer to. From our side, we are launching the Uplift Microsoft Accessibility Document Training, It's going to be up um, in March, hopefully. We have the plain language course that it's there as well. People can take it anytime. We'll be launching as well a new prerequisite for using the WCAG, and it's called Accessibility 101 or Intro to Accessibility. We're still figuring this out, but it's in the process of being made. For outside resources, you have the Web Content Accessibility Guideline. In the Web Accessibility Guidelines, there is the A11Y project, which is a checklist for people to use when they are building anything digital. There's the DQ University, which, again, all those references I will send you, Ari, and then you can add them on the podcast. It's a university that teaches a lot of things about accessibility. And again, it's just like, come to us, and then we will try to guide you as much as possible. And I can add for you the one podcast that Rowan King has, which is called Access and Ally. It's a podcast that talks a lot about accessibility. It's like solely about accessibility, and it has good resources and good talks. And again, we're here to answer as much questions as we can. It's a journey. It's not easy, but we will make it easy for you.
Thanks, Bahaa. So you gave a lot of great places to go. You'll send me all the links and I will put them all in the podcast for people to go, whether they're interested in podcasts or courses or all of the above. It'll be in the links below for people to go forward in this work. Thank you, Bahaa, for taking the time to share your thoughts to the listeners. I hope you enjoyed this episode, From Concept to Reality, How to Deliver and Lead Successful Services. You could connect with me at ari.hirschberg@gov.bc.ca or click the link in the show notes. Thanks for listening. That's it.
Woohoo! That was good.